Heat 5 of the Ligier European Series continues here at Mugello after an early morning first race that was won by Ian Aguilera in the number 77 car, and a great first victory of the season for the Iron Lynx by LR Motorsport pairing of Matteo Pianazzola and Gregor Bertocco. Can either of those guys do it again, or are we going to get a very different result? It was certainly a fascinating race, no shortage of incident, and I think this Mugello circuit certainly lends itself in that regard to an action-packed event. So more points on offer, 25 for a race win in each of the individual categories, JS P4 and JS2 R. Ian Aguilera with the second pole position of the season from the second session yesterday. Ico Segre, who is still up there in the championship, starting ahead of Theo Mercouris. It's Mercouris and Hayden Chance who have the better championship position, though, compared to the second place starter today. Pedro Moreno in the second of the Team Virage car starts fourth, ahead of Chu Ting Chu of Monza Garage and Ben Casely of Nielsen. Then the ASM Motorsport Andre Vieira driven number 44 car seventh. Team Virage's Umberto D'Amato is eighth. And then in JS2Rs, the M Racing car of Cindy Goudet, starting from pole position number 53. There's her purple car just going through shot at the base of screen, ahead of the earlier race winners Matteo Pianazzola to start now, because it was his teammate Bertocco who did the opening stint earlier on in the day. So car 60 ahead of David Cosenel and Julien Schell to come later. They are the co-championship leaders. Jacques Nicolet in a JS P4 for M Racing. Clement Moreno and Noé de Cunha complete the top five in JS2R. Just time to reintroduce Graham Goodwin of dailysportscar.com. And yeah, if the earlier race today is anything to go by, this one's going to be a stormer too.
Dramas for the very start to the very finish, wasn't there, with Theo Mercouris taking second place on the line by 21 thousandths of a second and lighting up their title chances. 3 races to go. We're about to see the first of those 3 with 2 more races at Portimao to complete the season. Can anybody stop Ian Aguilera here? Impressive stuff from him in this morning's race. Being told by Nick Reynolds in the paddock that he's heading to LMP3 next season, and on the basis of what we saw this morning, you can understand quite why the young Mexican would do that. But before we get anywhere close to that, 60 minutes more of Ligier European Series action. The last 2 or 3 races, ladies and gentlemen, have served up a feast of great racing. No reason to expect that the next 60 minutes is any different.
Looking at the final classification of race 1, Ian Aguilera did hang on to that race victory to confirm that there was some contact either before or indeed after the race we were trying to get to the bottom of, but no, we don't need to concern ourselves anymore. So the second time today, the Ligier European Series is about to be unleashed onto the relatively new Mugello asphalt. It's high degradation, though, this weekend, most people are saying. So that's something to be wary of later on in the race. 3 abreast, 4 abreast already, down towards San Donato for the first time. And that is Theo Mercouris right on the inside, trying to avoid contact with a fully locked up Ian Aguilera. And now there's a spinner further back. And as the tyre smoke clears, is that Ben Casely who's had a moment? No, it's the Monza Garage car, number 71 of Chu Ting Chu. Also one off in the gravel further back. That was the 81 car. So has the spinner ended up in the gravel, and the 81 car in avoidance, who is Manuel Quandam-Carlo, had a moment as well. Now damage for Ico Segre, who's jostling for position with Ian Aguilera for second place, but the rear starting to depart from the number 6 of Ico Segre, and that's going to be a problem, no doubt.
This is, I think we're going to go to safety car here. That car beached.
We have a car stuck in
trying
T1
to
on
get
the
away.
gravel, driver's left-hand side.
So it was a spin for the Monza Garage car, and then maybe as Chu Ting Chu's tried to recover that and do a 3-point turn or a big old U-bend, he's ended up in the gravel trap.
There was contact with that Monza Garage car on the inside, so 3 cars wide trying to get through the turn, and off the apex, contact to the rear of the Monza Garage car that I think started that incident.
Lights and boards, safety car, lights and boards, safety car, lights and boards.
But the bit I'm not quite understanding is, in then recovering, he's ended up that deep into the gravel.
Yeah, unless he's got steering damage and couldn't. But,
true.
We're going to see, I'm sure, that incident again, but that's a rather lonely sight. tightening, while Eco Seagrey, that's going to be problematic, isn't it? That's not conducive to good aerodynamics.
Well, it is just acting as a big old sack now, where the air is gathering and pushing the bodywork even further away from the wheel arch. So Mercuris is in behind Aguilera and Eco Seagrey in that shot. Here he comes in the #1 car, dive bombing down the inside, but look further back.
It was Seagrey. Seagrey hit the Monza garage car.
But I think Seagrey's getting hit himself by the Virage car on his outside, and he did just drive into the gravel hoping to get through it, and that worked for a time, and then the wheels got far, far too deep. So it was trying to get into the race, back into the race as quickly as possible.
What I can't understand is how Seagrey recovered remarkably quickly from what was quite a substantial moment.
Yeah. And I'm still trying to identify which Team Virage car was then on Seagrey's left, which may have had a say in the contact that rippled from left to right. But it may well have been Moreno, yeah. Because Umberto D'Amato,
He's further back.
He's further back. They are brothers, by the way. I checked that in the interval. I'd not met either Jacopo or Umberto.
It's not just a coincidence then.
No, but I was fearful that they may be cousins, so I didn't want to commit to that. They're also not Swiss, interestingly. They run on Swiss licenses, but they're from Italy, right close to the Italian-Austrian border in the north of this country, but only the other side of the mountains from Innsbruck when we get into Austria proper. No, and they're happy again to be at, well, their only home race of the year, because, of course, Ligier European Series did not visit Imola earlier in the year.
Indeed.
Race control to car 71. Please tell your driver to weave off the racing line. Please tell your driver to weave off the racing line. You'll be put back on track.
So this is an effort to try and keep tyre temperature up to as high as possible. Cars rather violently weaving from left to right. But the work that Theo Mercuris may well have thought over and over about ahead of the start of this race, how he was going to muscle his way to the front of the field, where he can start to dictate the pace a little bit, and that was done pretty much before the first corner.
Yeah, Aguilera had a bit of a lock-up, didn't he? And that rather stumped him coming through turn 1, whilst behind him madness erupted. We continue with one car damaged. Here comes Chu Tin Chung. There he goes. Back to the racing line. Oh dear me.
That's a lot of gravel pouring out from every orifice, sadly. And we are, as I say, that well, the grip's been at a premium from the start of the day, because we had a damp track after some overnight rain. That's looking a lot better now, but still, the stuff. My word.
Yeah.
They're like flies.
Team
or,
manager car 71
mozzies.
to race control immediately. Team manager of car 71 to race control immediately.
Yeah, that's directly disobeying the instruction, I'm afraid. That's exactly what it would look like if Ligier went into the council gritter business.
Indeed. Oh yeah, I mean, they'd be very, very proud of that job. Making sure there's grip after a frozen night, to ensure that public roads are nice and grippy. But the last thing you want when you're on slick tyres, a load of stones all over the road. So in actual fact, Leo Mercuris and Ian Aguilera are potentially going to be the track sweepers here. They'll arrive on the scene first of all at the lower speed of a yellow flag and a safety car, in fact. But the first racing lap could be a tad treacherous for the first few corners. So Chu Tin Chung back in the race, having lost a lap.
You can see there's so much gravel down there.
My word, yes. Some of that's already being cleared. It might not be a bad idea to try and utilise a slightly different racing line, or are you better just to stick to the apex and say, right, well, let's at least get one single lane clear of all of that gravel track.
So what does that sound like? Just think nuts and bolts and a biscuits in.
Yeah. Or in a tombola, and you just constantly going round and round to find a winner. Doesn't sound too pretty at all. And so often these teams don't want to change tyres in the pit stop. There's no rule to say that you have to, But that is a big risk now, because some of those stones are very, very sharp indeed. If they work their way into a tyre, particularly this place being already high degradation, then there's more than chance of a tyre or two going pop before the end of the stint. Just caught a brief glimpse of Hayden Chance there. He's still got a smile on his face, but he's got just less than 30 minutes or so of drive time to do later on in the race. All of this safety car time counts towards the official race distance, so the clock is still ticking by, and that means that the pit lane entry road will open for each of the mandatory stops in 20 minutes time. And the lights are out on the safety car, so we will be racing next time by on the start-finish straight. Pace therefore dictated by Theo Mikouris, who has decided to bunch the field up behind. He's got strength in numbers, as in the Virage cars. First and fourth and sixth they currently run. Out of Biondetti chicane, and so far that release catch has not been released in the favour of Theo Mikouris, and Shooting Show is now on the tail end of this long line of cars, but as I say, not on the lead lap.
Correct, so he can get by the JS2 Rs, but it's going to struggle thereafter, I think. Here we go.
Now we get racing again, and this is going to be an element of rallycross for the first few laps. As there's a bit of debris actually from one of the lead cars that then got hit. So what is that? It's more of the Eco Segri car departing, and that's going to get far, far worse before it gets better.
He's in trouble here.
Surely there'll be a mechanical warning flag fairly shortly. Let's hope that contact's avoided, as now the third place car of Pedro Moreno's gone wide and lost a place to Ben Caisley, who actually gained two, and Eco Segre's tyre has given up the ghost, surely going very, very slowly. My bigger concern
still, Rob, it's not gone down yet, but it's going to.
My bigger concern was how big.
Car number 6, you have a black and orange flag for loose body parts. Car number 6, you have a black and orange flag for loose body parts.
There was a fairly significant body panel that shot up in the air, it came back down and got hit again by a secondary car, so that was a real worry for me. Let's hope it's come to a resting place now, maybe on the grass and the right side of the debris fencing. Theo Mikouris leading, bouncing over the curbs as the tyre temperature continues to get back into the relevant window. Ian Aguilera sticking with him, just about 0.6 of a second is the gap. There's a larger gap back to Ben Caisley, who's got his arms full with Pedro Moreno in behind in the second Virage car.
It was a good restart though from Ben Caisley, wasn't it? Aided and abetted by the problems for Eco Segre. He's made good time and picked up 2 places. Meantime in JS2R with all of that. Lead car JS2R, by the way, which is Matteo Pianazzola from Cindy Goudet. That's a change in lead. Is 6th place overall.
Down the inside of the Le Douce Arb car will go LR Motorsports Manuel Guandancalo. So he's gained a place on Noé de Cunha. Noé running 5th in JS2R. Yeah, great opening few laps from Matteo Pianazzola, Cindy Goudet. Pianazzola now ahead of the M Racing runner, and it's getting very tight once again between Ben Caisley and Pedro Moreno. They are line astern over the line. Now they're side by side. Who's going to be the last of the late breakers into San Donato? It's actually Ben Caisley, who goes slightly deeper into the corner than he would ordinarily in an effort to defend, and that worked perfectly.
It worked absolutely perfect, didn't it? Didn't look at any point coming into that turn as if he came out that turn in the lead, but he chose wisely and correctly. Paisley, though, under pressure now for the number 66 car.
There's nothing, I suppose, that says the 6 car can't rejoin once they've assessed that damage, once they've sorted it out, taped it up if necessary. And as long as the scrutineers in pit road are happy, and that 6 car could rejoin.
Will there likely be a damaged tyre on that car that need replacing, as well as taping bodywork. 10 minutes gone. The delayed proceedings with that safety car. It's the 29 car in the hands of David Cossinel, with Noé de Cunha right behind, as we saw in the race this morning. This is the battle for 4th at the moment. It's somewhat confounded at the moment, the JS2R battle, with delayed JS P4s. This is again the overtake and the retaking of the lead by Ben Casely. Neatly done.
Yeah, so Casely still in third, Pedro Moreno fourth, Umberto D'Amato not that far away in the 32 car either. Matteo Pianazzola in the top 6 now, and he has the cushion of a couple of cars in behind as well. Brief glimpse there of Jacopo D'Amato, who will be taking over the 32 car later in the race.
Quick note, by the way, fastest lap of the race. It's early doors yet, but significantly quicker from Teo Mercouris ahead of Ian Aguilera. Almost 3 seconds to the good in this early running, and this time the move is made by Pedro Moreno and makes it stick.
Yeah, so he had a little practice run, that didn't work so well, forced to the outside by Ben Casely, this time finding the better racing line at San Donato and then the left-hander at Luco. Job done for Pedro Moreno. So can he now start to chisel away at the gap to Ian Aguilera, which sits at 4.5 seconds for the second place car. Umberto D'Amato in the second of the Team Virage offerings is running in 5th, and Andre Vieira having a much better race in this one, 44. The ASM Motorsport car did struggle at times earlier in the day.
This is how that third place changed hands. Same line, the outside from Pedro Moreno, but this time he got it done in time to take the preferred line through turn 1, turn 2. Pretty close-knit stuff behind. Teo Mercouris, by the way, has got the hammer down here. Fastest lap of the race last time around. It's purple sectors for the next 2. Meanwhile, side by side between the number 58 car of Jacques Nicolet, is passed by the delayed Manuel Carlo in the LR Motorsport car. That car tied up in that early incident is making up ground now.
Smart driving, and Alain Fulga is in 9th position in JS P4 in the blue and burgundy colours, and then in behind is the 16 car, is that? Behind number 3? Yes, it is, of Jordan Mayer for Pegasus Racing.
These cars delayed as that melee sorted itself out, leading to the safety car, which allowed some of the JS2Rs that were following through to just get by a gaggle of JS P4s. Still sorting itself out. There's one JS2R out of position, if you like, in amongst the JS P4s. It's the lead car, the iron linked by LR Motorsport car, Matteo Pianazzola, still running 8th with 3 of the prototypes behind him, as another pair of cars sorts out their own battles. That, I think, is Clement Moreno and Noda Kuna, who has dealt with David Cossonel and is pushing on. Next target, Sidney Goudet, who sits in 2nd place in JS2R. Meanwhile, though, this is Teo Mercouris, and he is still hammered down, almost 5 seconds to the good now. 2 consecutive fastest laps of the race, the first into the 51s and the first into the 50s. Ian Aguilera seems not to have an answer at the moment to this pace.
No, I'd agree, and it is a concern. Teo Mercouris has generally been, on balance, the quicker of the 2 in the number 1 car. Hayden Chance, though, is certainly no slouch either, but it was a closer fight, for example, between Hayden and people like Ian Aguilera and Ico Segre in the first race today, whereas Teo Mercouris continuing to stretch his legs. He's done the fastest lap of the race already. That was on lap 6. He's just completed lap 7, again with an absolute best through sector 1, but in the end didn't improve because he found some traffic later on in the tour. Here still Alain Fulga and Jordan Mayer in smart driving in Pegasus racing cars respectively.
Under 45 minutes to go. This race settling down. So battles up and down the order, if not for, at the moment, provisional podium positions in JS P4. JS2R, though, pretty close fourth. Sidney Goudet under pressure from Noda Kuna. Here the battle between the number 3 car and the number 16 car. They're attempting to go into terms with the leader in JS2 R. Will be so, I think, in the next lap or so. 81 and 44 now contesting the 6th place. That is Sidney Goudet giving up the place, 2nd place to Noda Kuna, the number 50 Ligier JS car. He goes up into 2nd place, head of the M Racing effort, Sidney Goudet, 53. This is how that went. It was a sweeping run out around the outside, and this time, in sharp opposition to what's been happening in the JS P4s, in the JS2R, they managed to make it stick. Car 6, by the way, and that is the ANS Motorsport car Vigo Seagray. That car has rejoined after a minute on pit lane to fix the damage. Is going to be coming back down pit lane again with a drive-through penalty for causing a collision at turn 1. That was the collision that saw Chun Ting-chu off and into the gravel, bringing out that safety car. Teemu Kuris completes his lap 8. The gap now, Johnny Palmer, is up to 6.5 seconds.
Yeah, very impressive. And I'm just trying to do some mathematics to work out whether, with such a poor race for Rico Segre to date, whether this is going to get them anywhere close to securing the championship within this race. Confirmation of Rico Segre's drive-through penalty on the bottom of your screen for causing that collision. So obviously that's been looked at, and the virage car was an innocent party on the outside of Rico Segre. I wonder whether there was a sandwich movement which forced the Segre car then into the Monza garage number 71. But that's been ruled out by race control.
So this battle in JS2R, David Cosinel ahead of Clement Moreno and Ryan Sheehan. See Ryan Sheehan, his prize drive for his success in single-seater racing in the United States aboard another different Ligier, the JS F3 chassis. This is part of his prize package for championship success in North America. Had torrid time in this morning's race, but he's doing significantly better here. I'm sure enjoying this second run at this. It'll be his first run in any sort of car with a roof. Very different racing experience, I'm sure, for this young man.
The fact that Ian Aguilera is running 2nd and he won the earlier race as well, that should keep the championship alive if these positions remain the same for the next 40 minutes. So Aguilera staying in 2nd and even 3rd will be enough, because there'll still be 50 points on offer with those 2 races in Portimao.
You can see Gray taking his drive-through penalty. It's going to bring Chun Ting-chu much closer to him, which is sort of the point. It's a penalty imposed because of contact that caused the Monza garage car to go off in the gravel. Side by side, the number 3 car does make it stick here. That is Alain Fulger on Jacques Nicolet.
Nicolet fighting back, and they are going to be side by side, or very nearly they were. The sky blue nose of Jordan Meyer in behind as well. So these 3 very evenly matched, it seems, fighting for 8th, 9th and 10th positions in JS P4.
So this defence, or rather the defence who is trying to get back at the smart driving car, rather puts Nicolet the Elder into the clutches of the Pegasus Racing car behind.
Yeah. Now David Cosinel getting a warning flag for the abuse of track limits. Just a warning at this stage, but they can get progressively worse the more you're spotted going over the white line to your advantage. Here's the 86 car of Ryan Sheehan. Not a happy race for the American earlier on, 19 years old, but here as a prize basically for doing so well in the US in single-seaters, also racing a Ligier, a JS F3. And not sure whether he's ever raced in Europe before. So welcome, Ryan, to the championship. First time we reckon with a roof over his head as well.
Yep.
And an incident not of his own making, sadly put him into the gravel, brought out a late safety car earlier on in the day, but a clean race so far for Ryan Sheehan, and he'll be handing over to Sita Van Mert at half distance.
Yeah, he's on terms here with Clement Moreno, who has been a front runner for most of this season, so it's a good indication of the potential pace of Sheehan. One would guess that his career aspirations revolve principally around single-seaters back in the North American market, but he'd be more than welcome to come and bring friends. So what is a championship series here in Europe that is adding depth to the fields and quality of racing.
Theo Mercouris still hanging on to the fastest lap. He's not improved again since lap 6, but he is extending the gap. 8.5 seconds now back to Ian Aguilera.
It's an impressive run here from Mercouris.
In fact, Aguilera under pressure himself, because almost a second faster last time around was Pedro Moreno in the 66 Team Virage Ligier. Nose to tail, well, there was almost a thought of a move there from the 17-year-old Quandam Manuel, also coming from Italian Formula 4, Formula 4, as I said to him earlier on in the weekend, to experience sports cars for the first time and loving every moment. Down the hill into Scarparia corner, quickly followed by Pelagio, the left-hander, and then that little rise before you have to hit the brakes for Carantayo, the awkward downhill right-hand hairpin.
Drivers getting ready for the mandatory pit stops. These cars with 2 drivers. So that pit stop window, I think, opening in about 90 seconds, Johnny.
Yes, it is. No, a little bit longer than that. 27 minutes it opens rather than 25. Not too far away, and it will stay open for 7 minutes. So 27 minutes into the race until 26 minutes to go, and yeah,
about a 3-lap window.
Yes, there's a slight concern there as the rear left wheel of the Virage car just dropped off the other side of the curb and created some smoke. Here is the Umberto D'Amato driven car with Manuel Quandancalo in behind as well. So 2 Italians going hard at it for Virage and for LR Motorsport.
No emotion and pride involved there whatsoever, I'm sure. None at all.
No. Well, LR Motorsport are Italian through and through. Luca Riccitelli's team, whereas Team Virage are from Poland, Polish flagged, although there's connections with Spain through Julien Gerbier and France as well. Part of the reason why they have a very sort of Spanish flag look to their cars too. Down the hill then, the number 32 car and the 81 in behind look very evenly matched in this phase of the race. Quandam thought about an overtake through the second of the Arrabbiatas, and Umberto saw him coming. He's opened the door, yeah, and Quandam down the inside into Scarparia corner to take the place, so that's 5th position.
Virage driver just found himself slightly out of position there, didn't he?
Well, that was a bit of spooking, I think, from Quandam making it look like he was going to try and overtake at the second of the Arrabbiatas. Then he didn't, but the door was open, and this is a similar manoeuvre from Pedro Moreno. A very good run on Ian Aguilera. Aguilera tried to close the door at the last minute, but wisely, I think, the Mexican then pulled out of that because he knew if he was clean on the exit, he might be able to level pegging into Luco, but that doesn't work because it's the outside line, and Pedro Moreno up to 2nd position.
Beautifully done by the Team Virage driver, Pedro Moreno dealing with the challenge of Ian Aguilera at this stage. So Theo Mercouris leads 9.9 seconds to the good now. He's away and gone. But with the pit stop window opening, he'll be Hayden Chance's opportunity to see what he can do about defending that lead. He leads now, though, not from Ian Aguilera, but from Pedro Moreno and Ben Paisley. Then that's inter-Italian battle. Quandancalo and D'Amato, the top 6. In JS2 R, it's Matteo Pinazzola in the number 60, the bright yellow Iron Links by LR Motorsport car that leads by 7.5 seconds from Noah Da Cunha in the number 50 Le Desarb car, keeping the leader very honest indeed. Then Sidney Goudet David Cosinel, Clement Moreno and Ryan Sheehan. Top 6 as we're seconds from the pit stop window opening.
Also a quick look at the Iron Dames by M Racing car, driven this weekend by Natalia Granada. We had Marta Garcia last time out at Spa-Francorchamps, but it's a fellow Spaniard. Sadly, though, that car's now under investigation for track limits, so Natalia's had a warning, and now potentially there's going to be a seconds penalty, often 5 seconds, added to the race time, or perhaps the next pit stop.
Yeah, this is young Natalia Granada Ferrero. Very brief conversation with her in the paddock earlier. A very young lady indeed, and a lot of progress to come. It is great to see another step on the ladder for the Iron Dames project, and taking the opportunity, the Dames, to put in their youngest dame from their karting programme into this weekend. Marta Garcia will be back with us in this car, we're told, for Portimao. This is great experience for a 16-year-old young lady, and it's fair to say she's a teeny tiny thing, not vertically challenged in any way.
Dorian Pat is not particularly tall, but you don't need to be when you're a racing driver, when you're a horse racing jockey. Almost the less weight you carry, the better. So Dorian Pat is the kind of mould to fit, if you like, because of all of her success in prototypes and in single-seaters as well. Interesting chat with Karen Gaillard earlier on today, also part of the Iron Dames crew. She's not against maybe getting 3 dames in an LMP2 in the near future. That'd be fun.
Well, there's all sorts of chapters still to be written for the Iron Dames. Cars on pit lane, meanwhile. And that includes that inter-Italian battle, Manuel Condacarlo and Umberto D'Amato, both on pit lane right now, as is Andre Vieira and Jacques Nicolet. In the JS2 Rs, Sidney Goudet has taken the opportunity to pit early, as has David Cosinel, and here come more. And that includes our race leaders. It doesn't include our race leader. It includes the battling second place cars of Pedro Moreno and Ian Aguilera.
Louis Stern and Natalia Granada coming in together as well. So Goudet, Cosinel and the other Pegasus racing car. But the top 4 in JS2 R remain out. So they are still circulating and might want to pit the next time around. I don't think you want to push it much more than the lap after this current one, for fear of running short of pit stop legal stopping time. As I say, only a 7-minute window, but Theo Mercouris can circulate again to make sure that pit road is slightly less busy. That's the other thing, is that you might find that so many cars are pouring into pit lane together that you actually lose time, because everybody is checking up actually before the white line where the speed limit begins. Number of cars already back into the race as well. Again, I'll remind you, it's governed by a minimum reference time rather than doing the pit stop as quickly as possible, and that should even the field up nicely.
So Manuel Condacarlo hands over the car to Jacopo Mazza in the 81 LR Motorsport car, and it's D'Amato replaces D'Amato and Jacopo. I think he may well have let back ahead of the LR Motorsport car. We'll see that the next timing beam. In, meanwhile, is the lead car in JS2R, the number 60 cars, led pretty much from the off. Pits that car from the lead. The 2 Les Desrabes car, though, stay out, as everybody else is now pitted in that class. Theo Mercouris now on pit lane to hand over the car, the leading car, to Hayden Chance. This could be a vital step on the championship ladder, couldn't it?
It's certainly getting them heading in the right direction. I mean, they weren't doing too badly on arrival here in Mugello with a 15-point advantage over Eco Segre. And having chatted to both Theo and Hayden, they would not wish ill on any of their fellow competitors, but I'm sure looking at the screen to see their nearest championship rival, Eco Segre, right down at the bottom of the field because of that damage in the first corner of this race. Then he was penalised for the contact with Tooting Show's Monza garage car. So a drive-through penalty followed that. And then finally, in his third visit to the pit lane, that was his proper mandatory stop. The car at least is still running, car 6.
Absolutely. Quick shot, by the way, as we saw Mercury step out and Hayden Chance step in. There we go, see another shot of that again. With the unusual feature of Ligier prototypes, they're all right-hand drive. And that results in sharp contrast, by the way, to the JS2 Rs, which are left-hand drive. That's a decision made corporately by Ligier after examining where their cars race and determining that that's an advantage at most of the circuits that their cars race on.
It's very useful. I don't know why I didn't have these before, but to have the minimum reference times at our fingertips. So thanks again to Elsa Nicolay of the Ligier European Series for pinging those to us partway through the race this morning, in fact. So as Theo Mercouris and Hayden Chance are a silver combination in car number 1, they will need to be in the pit road for 2 minutes and, we say 18 seconds. Bear with me a moment. It's 137.
No, 217.
217, yeah.
Yeah, so that's exactly what you got from the Team Virage number 66 car.
And actually the one crew are approaching things quite conservatively. They've gone with 2:19. Well, there was time in hand, so what you don't want to do is be half a second too quick. Better to err on the side of caution.
So 27 minutes to go, and this is all beginning to wind its way back into some semblance of order. And it's Hayden Chance leading this race by 8.7 seconds, 688 there precisely, from teammate Geronimo Berrio in the number 66 car. So it's Team Virage 1-2. Ian Aguilera is about 10 seconds back as we got. Is this a moment for the 58 car?
It certainly was.
That's Jacques Nicolay. All he's doing there is the Jacques Villeneuve, sorry, the Gilles Villeneuve thing, finding out where the grip is. He won't make the same mistake twice.
Well, also, I mean, you know, the paint scheme on that car, as we've suggested, is absolutely beautiful. It's the official Ligier livery, isn't it? And Jack just wanted to make sure that we had seen it from all possible angles.
That's exactly right.
So through Scaparia and into Pelagio, quick rotation and carrying on.
Absolutely.
He didn't hit anything.
Beautifully done.
I thought
and
so.
Provided a fantastic piece of TV and a photographic opportunity. And knowing that he is a man with an eye for detail, I've no doubt the official photographer was down at that corner for that moment.
Yeah, that confident in this racetrack that he's willing to attack corners, possibly in the wrong direction.
Absolutely.
And still not be fazed by it. Here's Hayden Chance, going to clear some traffic in the form of Cindy Goudet in her M Racing car. Down the inside at Bucine corner. As the track continues to descend into a low point, and then the climb begins on this start-finish straight. That is not straight at all. Certainly, it's fairly straight past the pit building, but then it kinks to the right and kinks to the left before you then have to hit the brakes and slow for San Donato corner. Julian Gerby with a wave to camera. And there are some impressive eyebrows from the gentleman on the left as
they
well.
They were massively impressive eyebrows. They deserve, I think, a thank card of their own, the autograph session. If you're looking for an autograph from those eyebrows, you know where to go down the paddock to Team Virage.
Straight to Virage.
Huge success, by the way, in this series from Team Virage in its so far pretty limited history, but also as the step on the ladder. We talked about this race this morning, didn't we, about Henrion, dominant champion here 2 years ago, went on to do the same in the Michelin Le Mans Cup again with Team Virage, and is in championship contention for an astonishing potential third consecutive run on the ELMS series ladder in the ELMS proper in LMP3, and that run recognised correctly by LMEM, the organisers of the European Le Mans Series and the FI World Endurance Championship, because he'll be joining us in the paddock in Bahrain for the rookie test the day after the WEC finale, where he's got a guest test with the LMGT3 WEC Championship winning car. That already is defined as being the pure racing Porsche. Double yellow turn 1.
So somebody in the gravel, potentially.
Yellow is removed, so what is this? Oh, it's the Iron Dames car collected by the smart driving JS P4. I think both cars are going to get away here. She has indeed got away.
Good. There were 2 bits of contact there, because as her car spun, it then went additionally into the side of the smart driving car, but an ambitious manoeuvre from Alain Fulga into the first of the many corners around this Mugello circuit, 15 in total.
Just a lap being put on the bright pink car by the bright yellow car. Iron Lynx goes by the Iron Dames car. 2 completely different service providers, by the way.
Yeah.
The leading car, Iron Lynx by LR Motorsports, Luca Riccatelli's team, and M Racing looking after Natalia Granada Ferrero's number 85 car.
Yeah, I have to keep reminding myself of that, because I expect to see both of them sitting in the same awning, which of course they're not. So one is indicated, well, they're both indicated by that in the official entry by LR and by M Racing. Ivan Muller is perhaps expecting one of his cars in again, is he? Because he's picking the lollipop up there at M Racing. So that may well be the Iron Dames car.
She might well be carrying some damage there. A little concern about perhaps some noises she's not expecting to hear. And that incident is under investigation. Rather remarkably, by the way, across Iron Dames and Iron Lynx in this paddock, 4 different service providers for those 2 brands.
Yeah.
The 2 here, plus Proton competition for the Dames in the European Le Mans Series, and Iron Lynx themselves with the Hiroshi Hamaguchi Lamborghini in LMGT3. We'll see in the 4-hour race tomorrow for the European Le Mans Series.
The other extra layer to that incident at the first corner is that the smart driving car, service provided by Luca Riccitelli, they come from the LR awning as well, although smart driving is its own entry, its own right, if you like.
That should make an interesting team post-race.
Perhaps so, yes. But Iron Lynx, with their LR car, on course to repeat a magnificent first victory of the season earlier on in the day. And I did have a quick word with Grego and Matteo in the break between 2 races, and I said, well, if you've done it the first time, then you should be able to do it again. And at the moment, it's looking good. 3.2 seconds clear.
I think that gap maybe fairly stable at the moment. I think that gap has been coming down, though. So Gregorio Bertoccio, so we've got now Hayden Chance and Geronimo Barrio, nose to tail.
And here, as predicted by Ivan Muller, arriving on pit road is Natalia Granada in her Iron Dames JS2 R. Didn't sound particularly healthy, that car, as it came to a halt, unless that was the lollipop being dragged on the ground. Hayden Chance up against Geronimo Barrio. And is Barrio going to do Chance any favours here, bearing in mind their slightly better position in the championship? I sense not, because each of the Virage cars are looking out for their best results where possible. And yes, they're all part of a team, but they're kind of individually organised, financed. So Barrio, as long as it's safe to, and he's confident of an overtake, he will attempt this, maybe not into Biondetti, the chicane, but maybe into the final corner. No, Chance gone there. Focus on a good exit out of Buccinet corner and back across the grid hatchings.
Alain Fulga, by the way, the smart driving car will be getting a drive-through penalty for causing the collision with Natalia Granada. I can tell you that car still on pit lane. They had the engine cover off and replaced. They're taking a good look around. She is out of the car. I think that is day done for the young Spaniard.
Now then, the 2... Oh, there was a change. The 66 has now got ahead. So in the braking area for the first corner, and also perhaps in avoidance of Clement Moreno. And now Hayden Chance makes a slight error coming out of Poggio Secco corner, dropping the rear left into the gravel trap. But Geronimo Barrio now on course for the 25 points, which will surely make the championship even more interesting, because Chance and Mikuris, his teammate, on course for 18 as things stand. Ian Aguilera there in third, keeping the championship alive.
There is young Natalia Granada. There will be better days, I've no doubt whatsoever. Chatting to Ivan Muller, team principal there.
Alain
Team
Fulga,
manager. I don't think he's the team principal. I think
team manager.
I think it is Madame. It is the team principal.
Alain Fulga heading now through Bucine corner, just looking out for any potential damage on that car. The other one involved in the Iron Dames incident, but still looks relatively straight. James Winslow out of the race, so he did get in the 71 Monza garage car. After that was stranded in the gravel and brought out the safety car. Chuting Cho was at the wheel when that happened. Winslow has taken it over, but that car's back in the pits. That's again another glimpse to Natalia Granada.
Very young lady, lots of more steps on the ladder to find, and sometimes the days when you learn are the days when it doesn't go well.
Well, entirely. And it's important, I suppose, early on in your career to know that motor racing gives and then takes away, and often in quick succession. But a sour taste, I suppose, to end the weekend on, and we're not quite sure at this stage when Natalia will be back in action with the Ligier European Series. Are we expecting Marta Garcia back in Portimao? Okay, in the 85.
Looks like this could be a potential change here. This is the 29 Pegasus Racing car in the hands of Julien Schell, getting on to terms with the Le Mans car, 50 of Antoine Lepescu, and I think he's managed to do that, done it beautifully. Julien Schell, very experienced racer and team manager. Pegasus Racing, staunch supporters of this Ligier European Series, and taking some of their customers onwards and upwards to other forms of motorsports, and using this as a ladder.
So good track knowledge as well from Julien Schell, knowing that the left-right sequence is effectively repeated again at turns 4 and 5, Matarassi and Borgo San Lorenzo. So very important to your car placement, knowing which corners are coming next and in which direction they go.
Interesting moment, I think I know why. James Winslow bringing in the number 71 car, Monza garage car, and putting Chun Ting Chu back in the car. Now that will mean they, I'm sure, will not be classified. But what he's doing, I think, is giving the man that he coaches more track time. The race is done for them. And the race was ruined pretty early on by contact. I think that is basically James falling on his sword and giving up track time for effectively the customer here.
Yeah, because everyone has to make a mandatory pit stop in which a driver change is carried out, but
there's
the
also
regulations will dictate a
time.
minimum drive time, which I'm just trying to dig out actually, but it shouldn't be much. They haven't got a lot to lose because they've had a terrible race to this point, so like you say, as you've explained, much more sensible to put the time with each driver in for a bit more seat time.
Gregorio Bertoccio, by the way, is maintaining that 8-second gap to the ELMS Motorsports car of Clement Moreno, but now has Alain Fulga, having emerged from his drive-through penalty, between him, this briefly, and his pursuer. Actually, it looks like Chu has actually pitted again.
He has. I think he came back in again, so the outlap became the inlap. And there may well be just a bit of testing things out now, rather than anything else, which is a real shame because they're at their home race. Ligier did not visit Imola, and we don't go to Monza at all currently. So this is the next closest race venue, and again, not one for Monza Garage to remember for too much longer. However, a couple of Italians will be very, very happy if this continues the way it has set out in the next 15 minutes or so in the bright yellow car there.
Technically, of course, this is Chun Ting Chu's home race. At least it's closest to his homeland than anything else we go to.
The most easterly in Western Europe. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
But enjoying his adventures. I doubt he's enjoyed this week much. Unfortunately, it's not gone his way, but he rejoins the race. Geronimo Berrio it is that leads this race, and by an increasing margin now over Hayden Chance. It's 5.5 seconds to the good. Last time around, taking 2 seconds out of the chasing #1 car. Ian Aguilera, meanwhile, is a full 11 seconds further back and not closing that gap, with Ben Casely a further 20 seconds back. So a sharp contrast to the last 2 races we've seen. Stellar race 2 at Spa and a closely fought race 1 here. Some big gaps emerging here. Eco Seagrade is here fending off Ben Casely, but he's a lap down, isn't he? Eco Seagrade making his way back up the order to 13th overall. Still got a couple of the JS2 Rs to deal with, but that's his Ben Casely just putting the lap on.
Minimum drive time for, regardless of grading, 20 minutes, by the way. So, shooting show.
He might have done it, you know. I think he's done it.
I wondered that. I wondered
he
whether
has done it.
James had been at the wheel for 20-odd minutes and then they decided to just flip it back again.
Yeah, because they pitted pretty quickly. I think he's done it.
And the mandatory stop is the most important thing. You have to do that within the set time period between 27 and 34 minutes. And I think the regulations say, without having to look it up, that there needs to be a driver change within that mandatory stop. There's nothing to stop you then doing further driver changes, because that's only going to be detrimental to your finishing position. Yep. The damage had already been done for car 71, so better to give the bronze, the driver probably paying most of the money as well, Chuting Cho, a bit more seat time, which will be beneficial by the time we get to Portimao.
Battling still here. This is the Jacques Nicolet, the M Racing 58 car, fending off Andre Vieira in the 44 car from ASM Motorsports. This pair, by the way, just behind Jordan Meyer. So this is an effective race for 7th between 3 cars. Jordan Meyer, Pegasus Racing 16 car, and then this pair, and that is the place going the way of the ASM Motorsport driver. And is that the leader coming up behind? I think it is. It is. This is the number 66 car, Geronimo Berrio. He's got a better part of 8 seconds in hand over Hayden Chance. It'll cost him just a little bit of time. Expect this to get the lead gap to compress as he deals with traffic, but of course, this could be interesting.
Yeah, car 60 now under investigation for an infringement during their pit stop, and car 60 leads JS2 R.
Are they second short on their pit stop?
2 minutes and 16 seconds. We said 2:37, didn't we? Sorry, 137 seconds, or 2:17 for 2 silvers.
They were second short.
And Pianazzola and Bartocco are both silver. Oh dear. So that will be revisit the pit lane, fellas, for the second that you didn't do, and that will take them out of the race lead and hand it to, well, a driver who was the joint championship leader arriving here in Mugello. It's actually going to result, if indeed this does result in a penalty for car 60, it'll mean that the 2 cars that are joint leading at the start of the weekend will be first and second in the category, because Julian Schell is in behind Clement Moreno.
And the other thing is, don't count out Schell here, because he is catching Clement Moreno reasonably quickly. He's 6.5 seconds back, but he took a second out of Moreno on the last lap and is charging. So that could be one to watch at the end of this race. There goes the number 60 car. I think there is a penalty coming their way. What they'll be doing is, we can see what we've got on our timing screens. They'll have a significantly more accurate display than we do. But frankly, if it's even 1,000th inside, it's still a penalty.
Yep. Yeah, 137 seconds is the absolute minimum, and it's 137.000.
Yeah.
So if you go 136.9 anything, then that's it. And these are rules that are fairly easy to govern as well. They tend to be very black and white. There's no interpretation to be included.
Problem is, of course, that race teams being race teams, they will try to get as close as they possibly can, and it's so easy to be the wrong side of that. Just one tiny minor error, anticipation of, you know, a wave out of the pits, and I bet it's if it's tenths, I bet it's only tenths.
Yeah, it's a 1 second stop and go penalty for the Iron Lynx by LR Motorsport Ligier of currently Gregor Bertocco, earlier driven by Matteo Pianazzola. And you feel for the drivers involved, because they were probably just following instructions. They wait for the lollipop to be lifted and then go and hope that all the calculations have been done correctly. So it's a full second, regardless of if it was tenths. You don't measure the stop and go penalty in that, you kind of round it up to the nearest second. So another visit due for car 60, and that should give the JS2R lead to Clement Moreno. What's the gap back to Julien Schell? It's only 5 seconds.
Yeah, well, as despots, minions and racing drivers know, as down the pit lane comes to 60, I was only obeying the instructions, doesn't really cut it.
It's certainly not an excuse, but it can be a reason. And Gregor Bertocco will have to stop now, not in a penalty box, but with the team, who will time the 1 second, and then away it goes. And here now is Clement Moreno, teeth gnashing in celebration of going back to the race lead. Remember, he's actually a bronze, so spent the least amount of time on pit road in the ANS Motorsport car as per the regulations, a single bronze.
I can tell you that I think that has dropped into fourth.
112 seconds was Clement Moreno's time on pit lane.
Fifth. Drops now behind Brunel de Lumiere. So that has ruined the day, I'm afraid, for Gregorio Bertocco. ANS Motorsports, Clement Moreno leads the race, but now only by 5.2 seconds from the charge of Julien Schell. Julien, though, will have to beware track limits on that lap, but he took over a second out of the leader on that lap. Moreno from Schell, from now Antoine Lepescu. So ANS Motorsports lead Pegasus Racing and the Desarb from JS2R. And the overall, that lead gap is coming out and coming up really quickly now. Geronimo Berrio, 11.8 seconds up on the sister Team Virage car, the #1 car of Hayden Chance. Ian Aguilera is closing the gap to second place, but he's running out of time to do that.
Yeah, just over 5.5 minutes still to go on the clock. And the 66 crew, both Colombian. Geronimo Berrio currently at the wheel, Pedro Moreno starting things off, both silver as well. Could be on course for a very good result indeed. They were winners. They actually managed to win the race at Le Mans the week before the big race there on test day Sunday, but otherwise they've not won one of the kind of more standard rounds.
I will correct you, by the way, the big race on test day is the Ligier European Series.
That's what I said.
You said having a big race.
Oh, I see. So you're actually saying
on that day,
the race,
big day.
Yeah, okay. I meant the big race a week later. But
anybody that suggests that at Le Mans on test day, that anything other than the big race is the Ligier European Series.
Ahead of the big race the following weekend. All right, fair enough. So Berrio and Moreno did not win in Spa, but they've not had to wait too long actually for the next victory. What, 3-4 races, and they could be back on the top step, because that gap is continuing to grow.
It is.
And I wonder whether Hayden Chance is just happy to take 18 points with Theo Mercouris, which keeps the championship ticking along nicely. They're crucially outscoring Ian Aguilera and Ico Segre. Looks like there's a bit of smoke coming out of one of the Pegasus cars.
It is smoking. Yeah.
Just saw that at Buccine corner, heading back across the start-finish line.
Might be some bodywork on the rear left of the skew on that car.
It's the 16 car to identify it. So Jordan Mayer is 7th currently, but with a worry there. And also on the back of Ben Casey's car now, some bodywork flapping.
Vico Segre, but that is, I don't think, it's not for position, it's a lap down. Keeping an eye on Julien Schell, by the way, he is still hammering on, but he's going to be getting into track limits trouble if he's not too careful here. There's at least 3 laps I've seen a track limits judgment against Julien, but the gap is 2.2 seconds with 3 minutes to go.
Very interesting finish. Gap going in the right direction for the current, well, championship co-leaders. The thing is, do they want to risk it all in order to outscore Clement Moreno?
He's got no choice, because what I've also noticed is being caught by Antoine Lepescu. So he's got to push. It's 1.8 seconds is the gap first to second from Clement Moreno to Julien Schell, and it's 1.3 is the gap to third. All 3 podium positions up for grabs here in the last 3 minutes of this race in JS2R.
Yeah, and that is important for this race on its own, but also that's very important regarding the championship. Now, earlier on in the day, we know the Iron Lynx by LR Motorsport car were victorious. Julien Schell on that occasion finished considerably ahead, though, of Clement Moreno. So are they willing to just give a few points back to Moreno, i.e. 7, the difference between a win and second place? Or, as you say, Julien Schell may be pressurised into upping the speed for fear of losing the second place rather than gaining the win.
Well, whatever happens here in the last 2 minutes of this race, once we've watched, and we should, an increasing lead for Geronimo Berrio, those 3 cars contesting, well, the top 3 positions, now contesting the win, because the 3 of them are under 3 seconds apart. There's the leader. There behind you can see the light blue car of Julien Schell, and just behind him is the other blue car of Antoine Lepescu. Trouble there for that 16 car. His body rub, isn't it? Now Julien Schell gets the warning flag. Predicted he might.
Did this make the body rub even worse? No, there wasn't any contact there. The smoke still issuing from the rear right wheel arch of Jordan Meyer. But through went the Jacques Nicolet driven car. It's not reflected on our timing screen yet. Now it is, through the next split. A minute to go. Geronimo Berrio is already at Correntaio corner, so he will get to the start-finish line to go around one more time and make it a 30-lap race.
Could that make a massive difference in the JS2R stakes? An additional lap? It could. The gap now, first to second, Julien Schell under half a second, Antoine Lepescu 1.5 seconds back.
And only now are they going into San Donato corner, so they're going to have to complete this lap and do one more. And now down the inside, Julien Schell on Clement Moreno. So Schell trying to rattle Moreno here to outmuscle him on track. But how much risk does Julien Schell want to give this? Because if there is some contact, there is some damage to the 29 car, that could be very, very consequential for what goes on in the championship.
And he's had a warning for track limits. He's
Schell
got to be clean.
Schell or Moreno? Okay.
Schell has. So Schell can't afford any other indiscretions. He's used every opportunity he's got within the rule book to get here. He's now going to pass him and pass him clean. And while he's trying to do that, of course, he's got Antoine Lepescu trying to close that gap as well.
Yep.
On the last lap for the leader. But this is the lead battle for JS2R. And they've got this lap and one more.
Doesn't necessarily have to be all-out racing at this stage, bearing in mind Clement Moreno only finished 6th in the first part of Heat 5 today, whereas Schell and Cosinel finished 2nd, and to a car that's not really up there in the championship. Here we go, this is the chance. Oh, they're leaning on each other, and mid-corner, Moreno might still have the inside line for Biandetti. No, there's damage, is there?
Yes, oh.
Big damage. Now, what's that? Race control going to have to say about the contact, I wonder, because there was definitely a touch in the middle point of Correntaio corner, which was a tad unnecessary, but Julien Schell saw the gap. He thought, well, I'm going to go for this. And sadly, there was side-to-side contact, which has now broken the
steering arm.
It's not the steering arm, but the track rod, basically, that keeps that rear wheel on the straight and narrow. Oh, my word. So there could still be something going on after the race to decide upon that. I'm sure the contact's going to be looked at, as now Clement Moreno goes from the lead of the class to drop down to pretty much stone last. Checkered flag is out though for Geronimo Berrio and his teammate Pedro Moreno, as it was all kicking off in the JS2Rs. It's victory, and a convincing one at that, in the JS P4s for car number 66. It looks like they're going to win by about 25 seconds over Hayden Chance, who's really reined things back again and picked a delta time, was happy to circulate in the 1 minute 56s, which was about 3 seconds off his absolute pace. Take the points, 18 going to Hayden Chance and Theo Mercouris.
I think you're right. I think he did drive a conservative second part of that stint. See no point in attacking that lead. Meantime, our leader in JS2R coming through to turn 9. It looks to me as if Julien Schell has got this under control right now. Up into third, by the way, back onto the podium. Gregorio Petoccio in the Iron Links by LR Motorsport car that led the race until that penalty for too short a mandatory pit stop. He's not that far back from this pair. You can see him there in shot. These are the current top 3. Clement Moreno, by the way, has finished the race and will cross the line in 6th. These battlers have another lap to run. Slower pace, of course, meant the race leader overall overtook the stricken ELMS Motorsport car. Here they come, it is Julien Schell, Pegasus Racing. It will take the checkered flag for the win for the 29 JS2R.
So a great drive, apart from that penultimate lap, which is now a bit of a question mark at Corentaio corner, when Schell went for an open door. Moreno tried to close it and contact was made, and Schell will argue, well, he didn't need to drive into the side of me, it was my corner by that point, whereas Moreno will say, well, I was trying to defend and make sure I got a good run into the fast chicane immediately afterwards. The result, though, is that the suspension or an arm was buckled, and that meant that the car started to steer from the rear.
In seeing it live, I think I would say that that was Schell's corner, but I'm not the stewards.
No, neither of us are, and
I think it's their loss that
we'll
neither of us are in the stewards' room.
we have offered on several occasions, but we said we will need to have microphones strapped to our heads at the same time as stewarding a meeting. They said that's not a good idea.
No, let's not do that.
Just do your main job half as well as most other people, rather than our job really, really badly. So yeah, I think that's going to be a provisional result at this stage with the Pegasus Racing car.
They've not called it.
They haven't actually flashed up a message to say it's under investigation. You're right. So maybe, okay, well, Julien Schell and David Cossonel are the best scorers in that particular race. Here is the certainly a provisional result at this stage. 30 laps completed for Geronimo Berrio and Pedro Moreno, winning for Team Virage ahead of Theo Mercouris and Hayden Chance, so they keep their championship lead, in fact extending the gap to Ian Aguilera, who finished in 3rd, Ben Casely 4th, and Jacopo Mazza in 5th for LR Motorsport. Then Jacopo D'Amato for Team Virage. Pegasus Racing's Julien Schell and David Cossonel combination winning in the JS2Rs ahead of Antoine Lupescu in the 50 car. Then it was the 60 Iron Links by LR Motorsport, so they came in, they served their extra 1 second of time, but of course the run down the pit road was rather costly. To get a podium at the end of that, I think they'll be chuffed, despite the fact that if they'd done the 2 minutes and 17 required in pit road, we'd probably be looking at a race win, a second race win of the day for Grego Boctocco and for Matteo Pianazzola. Debutant to the championship, Gwenaël Delomier finishing 4th for Pegasus Racing. I reckon Theo Mercouris and Hayden Chance will have a 25-point championship lead heading to Portimao in 3 weeks' time. Join us for that. The European Le Mans Series is no stranger to Italy. Indeed, the championship's already visited this country earlier on in the year, but it has never set foot on the Mugello asphalt before. So this is a first to visit the Autodromo Internazionale del Mugello. So what wonderful that we can be here. It's much anticipated, and as Graham Goodwin and myself, Johnny Palmer, will testify, we're heading into the unknown a little bit here. We've always been a fan of this track, having covered the 12-hour race, which tends to happen in March every year, but that doesn't have LMP3s and LMP2s in it, which we will see qualifying in the later part of these sessions. It is LMGT3s unleashed onto the asphalt without a moment's notice, in fact, because we're slightly behind time. But yeah, multi-class racing in Mugello, mouth-watering stuff, Graham.
Great stuff, and we are motoring into the unknown, aren't we, aboard here? The number 57 Kessel racing car, Takeshi Kimura at the wheel of the highlighter yellow Ferrari 296. 11 LMGT3 cars. Just looking ahead there, Johnny, in the windscreen of the Kessel racing car is the number 66 JMW Motorsport car, Scott Noble aboard that car, and just taking a moment to say thank you and goodbye to international racing, to John Hartshorn, who stepped away from this squad after the accident at Spa. Decades a supporter of both national in the UK and later international racing for John. And we're going to miss you around the paddock, pal. We genuinely are. Been a big part of the scenes that I've covered over the last 25 years of motorsport. And sorry to hear that accident exacerbated an earlier injury for John. But I'm sure we'll see him in the paddock from time to time. But for now, finishing his career with 4th place at Le Mans, that's a nice way to go. Thanks, John. And we'll see you trackside soon, I'm sure. Yeah,
it is the end of an era. But motorsport, I suppose, never stands still. So all of a sudden, we welcome 2 new names to the 66 in Scott Noble and Jason Hart, the bronze and the silver. Ben Tuck is also a silver, so no gold or platinum in the 66 car this weekend. A rapid tyre change for the Iron Dames Porsche, number 85. This is a bronze-only session, just like when LMGT3 qualify in the World Endurance Championship as well. So all the pressure is on the bronzes, as it will be in LMP2 Pro-Am, the session after next.
Yeah, and watch for the LMP3 session start. The teams have been warned it will be a very short call in between sessions. They're looking to claw back some of the time we've lost here. Under 12 minutes to go, it's 11 cars out there. Formula Racing, Johnny Lawson, Charlie Samani in the F Corsa, 51 Ferrari. Spirit of Race, 55, Duncan Cameron. Takeshi Kimura, we've already seen in Kessel Racing's 57. They're all Ferrari 296 LMGT3s. Derek De Boer has been getting quicker and quicker in the number 59 Racing Spirit Le Mans. He's got a lap time deleted, though, in that 59 Aston Martin. Claudio Schiavone in the orange and black Proton competition, number 60 Porsche. Iron Lynx's Hiroshi Hamaguchi in the Lamborghini number 63. Scott Noble aboard that number 66 JMW Motorsport car. Sarah Bovey, we've already seen that car on pit lane, now back out on track in the number 85 car for the Iron Dames, of course, the bright pink Porsche. And then we've got GR Racing, Mike Wainwright in the number 86. And the final car out there, the unmistakable blue and very pink Grid Motorsports by TF Aston Martin of Martin Berry. Away we go. It's 10.5 minutes to go, and times are coming in, Johnny Palmer.
Derek De Boer tops the times. Now, you've mentioned he'd had a time deleted. That was his lap 2 time, or is it the lap 1 time that still stands? Yeah, 1:49.561. And Takeshi Kimura with exactly the same time, 1:49.561. So I suppose Martin Berry did set it first, so he's marginally ahead. Thankfully, it shouldn't be decided on that, the pole position. How aggressively is the 57 car attacking these curbs? Takeshi Kimura obviously realising you have to waste no time at all there, and especially because it's a qualification run. You wouldn't want to be doing that early on in a race stint for fear of having no tyre left towards the end. A couple of GT drivers have told me since this track was resurfaced for the Grand Prix 4 years ago, it's actually now more abrasive than it...
head again. You had your heart set on me, but these feels, they come and go, and they come so easily. Tell me what it is about you that I can't forget, but you're breaking down my walls again, just to set me free. Why do I, baby, why do I love the way you always leave me? Why do I, baby, why do I love the touch but never love the feeling? Why do I, baby, why do I love the way you always leave me? Why do I, baby, why do I love the touch but never love the feeling? Staying up when I go out, you gotta know I'm all yours. But when I say what's that about, you start slurring your words. Tell me why you have to seem so.
We are ready for the last podium ceremony for the race 2 of the Ligier European Series, and welcome to the driver, to the team for this incredible event in Mugello. Thank you to stay here. I hope that Mugello, do you like it?
Why do I, baby, why do I love the touch but never love the feeling? Why do I, baby, why do I? Why do I, baby, why do I? Why do I, baby, why do I love the touch but never love the feeling?
Okay, we are with the podium procedure for the class JS P4. Third position for Ian Aguilera from LRR Sport. To the second position for the team Virage, Theo Mikoris and Aiden Chance. And now the winner of the race from Team Virage, Geronimo Barrio and Pedro Moreno.
How to go about shoes, break it down by shapes and sizes. I'm a man.
And now it's time for the national anthem. And now it's time for the official photo, the hat and the trophy, please. And now is the second race, and it's time for the champagne.
Fill me out with your smile, now the sunshine brings the light. Fill me out with a flame.
Okay, now we are with a JS P4 AM class for the winner. The car number 58 by M Racing Team, Jacques Nicolet.
Saving sound, saving sound, saving sound, saving sound, saving sound, saving
Okay, we are ready for the podium for JS2 R class. The third position for the car number 60, Gregorio Bertocco e Matteo Pianezzola, Iron Lynx. by Aller Motorsport. To the second position for the car number 50. Antoine Lapesque, Noé Dacuna. And the team Les Deux Albrecht. My French is not very good, it's the same for Italian. And now we are for the winner of the race, the car number 29 from Pegasus Racing, Julien Schell et David Castanel. And now it's time for the national anthem. And this is the national anthem for the winner. Now it's time for the photo and official photo, trophy and hat. To be silent before the battle. And now it's time for the champagne! The Great Escape. Okay, driver, put the trophy, please. The trophy, thank you.
Now the sunshine brings the light. Fill me out with a flame. I will let you in this game. Take me out when I'm down. 'Cause with you I'm safe and sound. 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 I'm safe and sound.
Okay, we are for the JS2 R Pro AM class. The winner to the Team Pegasus and Julien Schell and David Castanel. And now champagne, no? Yes. And we are with class JS2 R AM to the car number 18 from Pegasus Racing, Louis Stern and Guanel Delomier. The official photo, but we want to the champagne. No? Yes. Okay, thank you guys. To the next time in 3 weeks for the last round in Portimao. Good luck.